Hello and welcome back to Bookish. It's Tag Tuesday, so I'm going to do a tag that I should have done a long time ago. Quite some time ago, Alan from Big Hard Books and Classics tagged me to do the Alice in Chains Facelift tag. This tag was created by GoIndieNow, I think about 2 years ago, and it essentially takes Alice in Chains, I guess, most important album called Facelift, and it creates a prompt for each of the 12 songs on the album. I am familiar with Alice in Chains' works a little bit, so in honor of the straightforward, hard-hitting grunge of Alice in Chains, this video is going to be fast, it's going to be hard, and there are going to be no frills. So here we go. Prompt number 1, We Die Young. Name an artist that you think died too young. Well, being 52, I have a tendency to think that anybody who died before they reached my age died too young. I have two answers for this. One, my favorite poet Dylan Thomas. And two, my favorite rock and roll singer, and that's Chris Cornell. Thomas drank himself to death, and Chris Cornell unfortunately committed suicide. And I think they both, in the process, deprived us of some great stuff. Prompt number 2, Man in the Box. I think this may be Alice in Chains' most famous song. So it's a series, either a book, a movie, something like that, which grabs you from the beginning. And for me, if you watch this channel at all, you know that is the Aubrey Maturin series by Patrick O'Brian. This is a seafaring series set in the early 19th century, late 18th century, around the Napoleonic Wars, involving a sea captain named Jack Aubrey and his surgeon on board his ship, whose first name just escaped me, but whose last name is Maturin, and their adventures through 21 novels, and I've read all of them. Prompt number 3 is Sea of Sorrow. Name a book, a song, an album, a poem that always makes you tear up. Well, if I'm going to tear up, if I need a good cry, I listen to country music, which I almost never do, by the way. Prefer crying in my sleep. Anyway, but if I need a good cry during the course of the day, country music is my ticket. There are two country music songs which always make me tear up. One is Don't Take the Girl by Tim McGraw, and the second one is When I Get Where I'm Going by Brad Paisley, which essentially is about Brad Paisley talking about going to heaven when he dies. And if you know anything about me, that may sound odd that this song makes me cry, but there's a line in there about meeting his granddaddy in heaven, which gets me every single time. Prompt number 4 is Bleed the Freak. Name a book, a movie, a TV series, I hope, that you quote way too often. There are two for me and my wife. Number 1 is Seinfeld, and number 2 is The Office. Nothing revolutionary there. I've watched those shows way too many times, and my wife and I have incorporated many of the lines from those shows just into our regular conversations, like a code we have. Prompt number 5, I can't remember. Name a book, an album, a band, a poem you always want to tell people about, but you can't remember. I couldn't think of any. Prompt number 6, Love, Hate, Love. A book, movie, album you love that others hate. This is where I'm going to expose my nerdiness, my musical nerdiness, and tell you that Rush is probably my favorite band of all time. I saw Rush in concert more than any other band. If you don't know, that's the Canadian prog rock power trio, whose first self-titled album, Rush, launched them into mediocre stardom in the United States, and have been a huge Rush fan. So there are 3 Rush albums which are generally disliked even by Rush fans. Number 1 is Caress of Steel, which actually contains one of my favorite Rush songs called Lakeside Park. It also has a second side, which is basically one song called The Necromancer, divided into, I think, 4 or 5 parts. Then there's the incredibly unpopular at the time Signals. I remember when this album came out. It came out right after Rush's most popular album, Moving Pictures, and people thought Signals was a real disappointment. I happen to love that album. And then in the mid-'80s, there was Power Windows, in which many die-hard Rush fans felt they'd gotten too far away from their original sound. But I love all 3 of those albums, and you're all just wrong. Prompt number 7, It Ain't Like That. A book, a movie, a poem that everybody else gets wrong. Pride and Prejudice. Elizabeth Bennet marries Mr. Darcy for his money, period, and Jane Austen does not approve. Bite me. Prompt number 8, Sunshine, a book, movie, album that always makes you feel good. I think Plain Song by Kent Haruf, which, by the way, Jason from Old Blues Chapter and Verse and his wonderful wife Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading more or less talked about and kind of goaded me into rereading, and I'm glad they did. That book is so powerful and beautiful, and I just kind of love the ending of it. I believe it's a part of a series of books, and I haven't had the courage to read the others because I like the way that one ends so much. Prompt number 9, Put You Down, a book that you had a hard time putting down. This happens to me all the time. Most recently, it was The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead, which I had a difficult time putting down, and I read, for me, incredibly quickly. Prompt number 10, Confusion, a book, movie, album you don't really get. And I'm just going to go with, I don't get the popularity of the Twilight books or of the Shades of Grey books. I kind of see them as the same way, in which, intelligent, capable young women find themselves in relationships with deeply flawed men and somehow decide to subvert everything they are to those men. I don't get that. Prompt number 11, I Know Something, a book, movie, poem you have inside information on that creates kind of obsessive love. That would be Thomas Boyd's 1923 novel Through the Wheat. And then prompt number 12, The Real Thing, a book, movie, album that changed you. I'm going to go with books here. Over the Christmas holidays of 1986, I binged Faulkner and Hemingway and Fitzgerald, and that really made me into a reader and a lover of American literature. Anyway, there you go. That's the Alice in Chains Facelift tag. Thanks for tagging me, Alan. I'll leave a link to Alan's tag video down below and a link to the original, which was from GoIndieNow. Look forward to your comments in the comments section. Thanks for watching.